Uh, Hare Krishna all. On behalf of Bhaktivedanta Club IIT Kanpur, I would like to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Venkat Buddhiraju. So Dr. Venkat Buddhiraju completed his BTech and MTech from IIT Bombay in Chemical Engineering Department. Later, he joined as a PhD student in IIT Kanpur, and currently he is serving as a senior research scientist at TCS. Apart from this professional achievement, during his stay at IIT Kanpur, he was the overall coordinator of Bhaktivedanta Club, IIT Bhaktivedanta Club. And let me tell you, I have not seen such a wonderful relationship or such a wonderful leadership in history of Bhaktivedanta Club. And the way he managed, the way he built relationship with his juniors, the way he appreciated, it was so unique, so unique. That's why we have come up with this wonderful topic. And today's topic is the secrets of healthy relationship. So here is a personality who actually lived with this principle. That's why we specially gave this topic to Dr. Venkat Buddhiraju. And if I start speaking about this personality, then this 1 hour also will not be sufficient to justify his greatness. So without taking much time, I would like to hand over to Dr. Venkat Buddhiraju. Hare Krishna.
I'm audible? Am I audible? Hello? Jinesh? Am I audible?
Your voice is little low.
What do I do? How about now?
Yes, now it's perfectly.
Maybe fine. I'll have to speak with my mic near the
yeah.
Is it okay now?
No, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, so let me speak with the mic near the. So thank you, Jinesh. I think you spoke more than what I deserve, and it's nice to hear from all of you after a long time. So I welcome all the new family members of the Bhaktivedanta group. I've been told that you're associating with us. Let me tell you, you've done one of the best things in your life to come into contact with devotees of Krishna, to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is a blessing. That has come upon you, I would say, after many life births. So the topic that has been given to me is this secret of healthy relationships. So I've made a presentation. I made a PPT. So let me share my screen, and then we can have questions towards the end. What happened? I'm not able to share my. Okay. Are you able to see the presentation, Jinesh?
Yes. Very okay,
yeah. So, Jinesh, just give me a reminder when it is, I think, 5 to 8 or something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So that we can have some time for chanting and the question answers.
Sure.
So, without wasting much time, I'll come to the topic of today's discussion, which is secret of healthy relationships. So let's get into the topic straight away. So, what makes the world happy? So this is a question that all of us would have thought at one point or the other. Some people, if they get good food, they're happy. Some people, if they sleep a lot, if they get a good night's sleep, or if they're able to manage some sleep during the afternoons or during the weekends, they become very happy. Some people, when they get into a meaningful relationship, they're happy. And some people, they find a lot of happiness by taking part in social media. Some people get a lot of happiness by doing some kind of creative work. Creative work here means you write poems, you write some piece of code, or you get into some some creative stuff like painting or poetry or dramatics. That gives people high. Some people, for most people in this world, earning money, accumulating a lot of money, that gives them a kick. That makes them very happy. And then entertainment. All of us, most of us would like to watch movies. Most of us would like to, play sports, indoor sports, all kinds of things. And for most of us, even playing sports, playing cricket or seeing India play cricket or seeing India winning a cricket match, it makes us happy. So these are some of the common things that make people happy in this world. So I'm sure this might not, all of these things might not apply to all of us. Some of us would identify with certain things, others would identify with other things. Let's go ahead. So these are some of the things that makes the world happy. So what makes the world sad? What makes people sad? The lowest point in being sad is something, a situation that drives someone to commit suicide is the lowest ebb of being sad or being unhappy. So according to this survey, a person on an average, somebody or the other is committing a suicide once in 40 seconds. At every 40 seconds, somebody somewhere in the world is committing a suicide. That is the alarming rate of suicide in the world today. And India, of course, the suicide rate is very high. So a survey was done by India Today as to what actually prompts people to take this drastic step. What are the main problems because of which people commit suicide? And then it is identified that 34% of the people who commit suicide take this extreme step due to disturbing family relationships. In the sense, they don't have good relationships with their family problems. माँ के साथ नहीं बनता है, पिता के साथ नहीं बनता है, भाई बहन के साथ नहीं बनता है. They don't have anybody to share their problems with. They don't find that comfort. They don't find that soothing environment in their family. Some said that due to marriage-related issues, somebody is going through a divorce, one gets depressed, or somebody is separated from wife or husband, one is depressed, and then most others commit suicide due to one-sided love relationships, or due to failure, or due to some kind of trouble in a love relationship. So what it essentially means is that many people commit suicide due to troubled relationships. Many people commit suicide due to failed relationships. On one hand, in the previous slide, we saw what makes people happy. And on the other hand, in this slide, we see what makes people unhappy, what drives them to commit suicide. And we can see from these numbers that troubled or failed relationships is the number one reason why people all across the world commit suicide. And committing suicide is the lowest that you can get to. And why do people commit suicide? Because they feel lonely, they feel depressed, they don't find anybody to talk to, they don't find anybody to share their heart with. Most of the times, it is said when you're undergoing through a problem, you should talk to somebody. The psychiatrist or these counselors that you talk to, these people, they don't give you some out of the box solutions. They just offer, they just lend a ear to your problems. That's it. So we see that most of the times people commit suicide because they don't have anybody to talk to, which means that there has been a failed relationship somewhere. So that brings us to the next slide. What is that that you would prefer to have? This, I don't know. I made the slide and I saw this in Jivnesh's description also. That's pretty interesting, very interesting coincidence. So on the left, imagine yourself. This is a thought experiment to all of you. Imagine yourself stranded all alone on a deserted island, but you have all facilities in the world. Just imagine you have a TV, you have access to all computer games, you have video games. The food will come to you normally, but you're all alone. There's not even a single person. You have everything in the world that you always wanted to have, but you're stranded all alone. There's not even a single person you can talk to. You cannot phone anybody. You cannot call anybody. You cannot use your mobile phone. You cannot chat with anyone. So you're completely cut off from the rest of the world, but you have all facilities, all comfortable facilities, whatever you want. You have everything. This is on one side. And on the other side, imagine a situation wherein you are with the most loved ones of your life, your very close relatives, your extremely close friends, your mother, father, everybody that you love in this world are there all under a single roof at one point of time, but you have minimum facilities or you have absolutely no facilities, very meager, minimum to meager facilities. So which one would you prefer? I'm sure most of you would say, I would prefer the second one, wherein I would like to stay with my near and dear, although the facilities are lesser. Of course, there could be people who would say, okay, maybe I would like to stay in an island all alone without access to anybody. But then even if you choose the first option, how long can you do that? Maybe a day, maybe a week, maybe a month. And after that, you feel bored, you feel depressed. One of the reasons why the depression rate or the suicide rate has gone up in the lockdown is that people are not able to come out. People are not able to talk to others. People are not able to meet others. Obviously, there are some reasons why social distancing is to be observed. That's a fact. That if you don't talk to people, if you don't see people, then you kind of become gloomy. So I'm sure, so this slide drives home this point that what actually makes a person happy is a good relationship. This relationship, please don't take this only in a one-dimensional way. When I say relationship, it doesn't necessarily mean relationship between people of two opposite genders. It could be the relationship between a parent and a child. It could be relationship, pure friendly relationship between two friends. It could be a relationship between a man and his pet. It could be anything. Something that is emotionally fulfilling, something that calms the heart, something that suits the heart. That is this relationship. A relationship gives emotional stability to a person's well-being. It is very important to have at least few fulfilling relationships in our life. Otherwise, we get bored, we get depressed. Now, what are the different types of relationships that you see in this world? The first thing is between the master and the master's pet. So you feel a little surprised. Is this a relationship? How can this be a relationship? But if you see in US or in the European countries or in the Western world, you see that most people are all alone. We don't have a family culture in the West. You know, the students, children leave home once they are majors. You know, they work on their own, they live on their own, they just go out of their home. We don't have that predominant family culture in US as what we find here in India. So people actually, they trust animals more than they trust human beings. To some extent, that also makes sense. But we see that people have 2, 3 pets. People have cats. People have dogs. There have been situations in the US where people have actually willed their whole property to their dogs or cats because they didn't trust their relatives. They didn't have meaningful relationships with their children or relatives. So what this means is that people also have relationships with animals. Okay. Now the second thing is what we commonly encounter. These are more like formal relationships. If you now you're studying, there's a formal relationship between you and your teacher. Obviously, there is a relationship, right? You listen from the teacher, you ask doubts, you take care of different assignments that are being allotted to you. If you have doubts, you go back and ask the teacher or the boss or the employee. If you go a little ahead when you start working. So these are some kind of formal relationships that we have in the world. The third thing is one of the most important relationships between friends. So this could be relationships between friends of the same gender or friends of the opposite gender, whatever. There is some friendship, that is emotionally fulfilling, that is emotionally satisfying. Now, the fourth type of relationship is that between the parent and the child. It's a very pure relationship because there's very little selfishness involved in this relationship. We see throughout our childhood, from the point that we are born, the kind of care, the kind of love that the parents show upon us, it is something that we can never repay them. How we can actually repay them, I'll discuss towards the end of this presentation, but this is a very important relationship. And the last one is a relationship between the husband and the wife. Okay, this is something that once you pass out, once you take up a job, this is a step that all of you need to take at one point or the other. So these are the different types of relationships in the world today. Now, so what are the problems with relationships of this world? Why do people get depressed? Why do people break up? This word breakup is something that you hear quite often. In the world today, we broke up. So generally, the word breakup is used, in a relationship, in a failed relationship between people of opposite genders. But then, what causes problems in relationships? Now, these are some of the quotes that I've taken from Srila Prabhupada's books. So Srila Prabhupada has an excellent idea of the society. He has an excellent idea of the Bhagavad Gita. He has an excellent understanding of Srimad Bhagavatam. But more than that, he actually studied the world so much. A successful spiritualist is the one who looks at world. Can all of you be muted? I request somebody to go on mute. Yes. So Srila Prabhupada looked at the world through the eyes of the scripture. So these are some of the quotes. The first one is, in the material world, There is no such a thing as a lover wanting to please the senses of his beloved. Actually, in the material world, everyone wants mainly to gratify his own personal senses. A very profound statement. Let me explain to you what this means. It means is that you love the person only as long as that person satisfies your senses, satisfies your ego, satisfies your pride, or satisfies your, whatever. As long as that person cares for you, as long as that person is submissive, as long as the person, there is of some use, you find some use in the opposite person, you be in that relationship. The moment you see that the opposite person is not able to give you that service, you see there is no point in having that relationship. So what it essentially means that as long as you are of some use to me, I would like to have a relationship with you. But the moment you become useless, I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to invest anything into this relationship. The moment I find you are of no use to me. So this is precisely the reason why, people have failed relationships, because it's everything as what can you do for me? People don't think what can I do for you? People always ask, what can you do for me? At one point of time, people would use gadgets, and they would love human beings. But we are in a world today where we love gadgets and we use human beings. You see, you take a train or you take a flight. When I in my childhood, whenever I would take a train, we would talk to passengers sitting in front of us. We would ask them, we would make some good friendships. This was before the internet era. In my childhood, we would talk to them, from which place you are, what are your hobbies. We would make some good friendships. We would write letters later. We would keep in touch. We would talk on phone. But then now, if you actually undertake a train journey, you see that people, the moment you get into the compartment, you see everybody is busy in their mobile phone. Thanks to Jiva, after Jiva has come, internet is available to everyone. Even the most poorest of the poor can afford internet on his phone. People are either browsing internet, people are watching movies on YouTube, or people are watching movies on Netflix, Amazon Prime, or they're into Facebook. Even the elderly people, my grandfather, my father, all of them are very active on Facebook, Instagram. Now, I myself, I'm not much into social media, but I'm surprised that even the elderly are into, all these things. So people are beginning to love gadgets, and they are beginning to use people. That's the problem. And then what is the second quote by Srila Prabhupada? Today in the material world, I may be relishing my love for my son, but tomorrow my son may be my greatest enemy. There is no eternity in this kind of love. Or if my son does not become my enemy, he may die. Today I may love some man or woman, but tomorrow we may break up. All of this is due to the defects of the material world. We see, how many of us have not seen incidents in which the parent has killed the child or the child has killed the parent? Just a few days back, I read a news article from a Telugu newspaper wherein a son, his business has failed, and he has been bugging his alone mother that she should write the property on his name. And then the mother, because she knew that the child was not responsible, she refused to write the property on his name. So one night he went to her home, and then he bludgeoned her head with a big boulder. He hit her head with a big boulder, and she died immediately on the spot. A child killing his mother, or a son killing his mother for property. We've seen numerous instances in which a father has murdered his own child, for some reason. We know the case of Indrani Mukherjee, where she murdered her own daughter. It's a very famous case, some 5-6 years back when I was in the IIT. So we've seen instances in which, parents have murdered children, children have murdered parents, husband has murdered wife, wife has murdered, husband, and cheating between friends is very common. This is one relationship that is taken very lightly. You trust somebody, you give somebody some investment, and the other person cheats you. So cheating in friendship is very common, because everybody is guided by selfishness. The most important thing is nobody is selfless. Everybody is selfish. I would like to have a relationship with you as long as I get some benefit from that relationship. People are there with you as long as you have money. But the moment you lose money, they don't want to have anything with you. We see this, in our relationships with our relatives, with our neighbors. People who praise you, the moment you lose money, or the moment you become unsuccessful, the same people who have praised you, they go behind you, they laugh at you, they sneer at you, they make all kinds of nasty comments. So this is what happens in the world today. So that's what Srila Prabhupada is concluding. So-called love here means that you gratify my senses, I'll gratify your senses. And as soon as that gratification stops, immediately there is divorce, separation, quarrel, and hatred. So many things are going on under this false conception of love. So it is not love actually, it is lust. It is infatuation. Infatuation for physical beauty, infatuation for wealth, infatuation for power, infatuation for position. There is no love. Even if there is love, it doesn't last longer because we are driven by our own selfish interests. A man is inherently selfish. So he is always driven by his selfish motives. And this is precisely the reason why relationships of this world break. Why there are troubled relationships? It's precisely because of this reason. We find very few selfless people in this world. Now, let me tell you interesting story from Srimad Bhagavatam, the story of Harsha and Chitraketu Maharaj. So this king Chitraketu, this is a true story from Srimad Bhagavatam. He had thousands of wives, but then all of them forbade him. None of these thousands of wives could bear him a single son. So he had thousands of wives, he had everything that he wanted, but he had no children. So this made him morose. This made him depressed. So once this Angira Muni, because saintly persons would visit different kings. So Angira Muni once happened to visit the court of this king Chitraketu Maharaj, and he found the king very depressed. He asked him, what is the reason? Why are you so morose? And Chitraketu Maharaj told Angira Muni, I have everything, but I don't have children. And this makes me very morose. This makes me very unhappy. Please do some so that I can have at least one child. So the sage said, okay, if that is what is making you so morose, so I'll bless you that you'll have a child very soon. You'll have a son very soon. But this son will be a cause of your happiness. At the same time, he will also be the cause of your distress. He will bring harsh or happiness, and he will also bring shoka or sorrow to you. So the king didn't understand the meaning of the sage's statement. He thought maybe when my child grows older, maybe he'll not listen to me. Maybe he'll become little, he'll go wayward. But then, it's okay. It's okay to have a irresponsible. It's okay to have a naughty son rather than having no son at all. So he didn't understand the purport of the sage's statement. So it so happened that one of these 1,000 queens, she bore the king a son. So naturally, the king was waiting for this. So he began to spend a lot of time with this child and with that queen who bore the king this child. So other queens, they became envious of this particular queen because the king started to be partial towards that queen with whom he had a child. So the other queens, they became jealous of this queen. The other queens, they became jealous of this child. They realized that the king is not spending any time with us. The king is not even treating us as his wife. The king is just treating us as his servants. All of us eventually would have to become servants of this queen. So what did they do? Out of jealousy, out of envy, they mixed poison into the milk of this child. And the child, he was just a toddler. The child died immediately. And when the king and the queen saw this, they were devastated. They were so unhappy. They were so disappointed. They were so depressed. So then they started crying. The king started crying. He started beating his chest. And at that point of time, Narad Muni and Angir Muni, they visited this king's court. And they asked, why are you crying? So the king said, this same child who had brought happiness to me is the cause of my distress. Nothing can actually calm me now. I've lost all my composure. Please bring back my dead son to me. So Narad Muni, because he's a very, very powerful Vaishnava, so he actually brought back the soul of the child, the soul of the dead child back to the child's body. So all of us know when a person dies, the soul leaves the body. All that we have, all that remains is the dead body, but the soul departs from the body. So Narad Muni invoked the soul of the child back into the body. And when the child got up, the mother and the father, they ran up to the child and they hugged the child. And what did the child say? Who are you? As a spirit soul, I travel through different bodies. And in each body, I take up different parents. In my last life, somebody was my mother and father. In my previous life, somebody was my mother and father. And now, the body that I'm going to next, somebody else will be my mother and father. You are my mother and father just for this body. I have absolutely no relationship with you. I have absolutely no attachment to you. So stop trying. Please allow me to go to my next destination. Please allow me to go to my next body. And as soon as the child said this, the soul of the child immediately left to its next destination. And the king realized that relationships in this world are material. In the sense, relationships of this world are based on one's birth. I am born in India, so therefore I love Indians. I'm born in Telangana, therefore I like Telugu people. I'm born in Uttar Pradesh, therefore I like Hindi people. Okay, I am born in a Kshatriya caste, so therefore I like to associate with people of my caste. I can sing very well, therefore I choose singers as my friends. I can dance very well, therefore I would choose dancers as my friends. But the same person, if is born in Pakistan, then he starts beginning to hate India. The same person, if this body, this birth, you're an Indian, then you will hate Pakistan. Next birth, you're born in Pakistan, then you hate India. One birth, you're in China, you hate Pakistan. And the other birth, you're in Pakistan, you hate China. So this is all the relationships of this world are based on the birth, the material body that you get at the time of the birth. But when you change this body, everything else changes. Therefore, the relationships that come because of this body, the relationships that come because of my birth, because of my taking this material body, they're all temporary. They're all temporary. Just like this child said, in my previous birth, somebody else was my mother and father. In my next birth, somebody else is going to be my mother and father. So don't be attached to me. I am no longer your son. So please give up this crying. So similarly, we should also understand all relationships of this material world are based on this material body. But are you your body? I'm sure all of you would have started reading the Bhagavad Gita. I'm sure all of you would have known by now that the real identity is that we are soul, we are Atma. The body dies, the body grows, the body takes birth, the body grows, the body dwindles, the body becomes diseased, the body dies. But what doesn't die is the soul. As long as the soul is there in the body, there are symptoms of life. But as soon as the soul leaves the body, there is no life. So, what is real is the soul. This birth, you can become the Prime Minister of India. And if you lead a very sinful life, the same person, the same soul, which has taken a Prime Minister's body in this birth, it can take the body of a dog in the next birth. We don't know. This birth you're a king, next birth you're a dog, and the next birth you become a cow or you become an elephant. So based on your karma, you get different bodies. But what doesn't change? What is the real identity? When you say who you are, suppose if I ask you, who are you? You should say that I am Atma or I am the soul. So this brings us to the next point. What is the relationship between Atma and Paramatma? Jiva and Krishna. Krishna is called Paramatma in the Bhagavad Gita, and Atma is also called as Jiva. Jiva doesn't necessarily mean only a human being. Jiva, there could be soul in a plant. Plants have souls, animals have souls, everything, bacteria has souls, everything in this world, everything that is living, everything that is conscious, is living because of the presence of soul. That soul is called Jiva. So what we need to understand is that all relationships of this world are based on this material body. Because I'm born in some family, somebody becomes my chacha, somebody becomes my mausa, somebody becomes my mausi, somebody becomes my mama. But if I'm born in some other family, somebody else becomes my mama, somebody else becomes my chacha. So these relationships which are based on physical body, which is not the true identity, these relationships are temporary. You should respect them. I'm not saying that you should disrespect your relatives. I'm not saying that you should disrespect your parents. No, that's not my intention. You should respect all your relatives. You should love your parents. But what you need to understand is that your eternal parent is Krishna, because we have an eternal relationship with him. You look at this picture here on this slide. You see a saint chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra under the banyan tree. You see a tiger, you see a lion, you see a peacock, you see a cub, you see a dog, you see different birds, you see some people playing nearby. But what is the common thing? You see that in the hearts of everyone, there is the Paramatma. There is the divine spark within everyone. There is the individual Atma and there is also the Paramatma. That is, within all our hearts, we have the individual Atma, which is the Jiva, and we also have the Paramatma. So our eternal relationship is only with Krishna because Krishna is eternal. Therefore, our relationship with Krishna is also eternal. My relationship with people of this world is temporary because my body is temporary, their body is temporary. Therefore, the relationship between my body and their body is also temporary. If your relationships are based on this material body connection, you're bound to get disappointed. Why? When you code, when you debug, when you have errors, all of you would have noticed this error, type mismatch, or type incompatibility. What it means is that, suppose if you declare a variable as integer and you assign fractions to that variable, what happens? There's an error that's thrown up because the variable is declared as integer and you're assigning fractions to that. You're assigning fractions to that variable. So there's a type incompatibility. So you are spiritual. As the soul, you're spiritual. But then if you maintain your relationships based on the physical body, there is a type incompatibility. So therefore, there is frustration. That is the point. So what we need to learn here is that Krishna is an eternal companion. When I was in the body of a dog, Krishna accompanied me in the form of Paramatma. When I was a cat, Krishna accompanied me in the form of the Paramatma within my heart. When I was in a king's body, Krishna accompanied me as the Paramatma within my heart. So how do you know the Paramatma exists within you? Because you see, all of a sudden, you get some positive thoughts, you get some good directions, all the good direction. People who don't believe in God, they say it's concise, they say it's conscious, they say it's concise. So this is not concise or conscious, but all these good thoughts are actually coming within your heart due to the prompting of this Paramatma. So he has never forsaken you. People of this world, the moment you become poor or the moment you become unsuccessful, most of them don't even bother about you. They don't care for you. But even if you're a caterpillar's body, Krishna has never forsaken you. He's not thought, oh, how can I get into this body of this caterpillar? It's such a obnoxious creature. I'm not going to get into the body of the caterpillar. No, Krishna has never forsaken you. Whatever body you have taken, Krishna has always been there as your eternal companion. So therefore, relationship with Krishna is eternal. Relationship with people of this world, or in the other way, relationship with the bodies of people of this material world, they are temporary. I wouldn't say they are not important. They are important. But what we need to understand is that we need to look at the relationships of this material world through the eyes of Bhagavad Gita. We need to bring Krishna into the relationships of this material world. Unless we bring Krishna into the relationships of this world, those relationships are bound to frustrate us. Okay? Now, another thing is Krishna's love for the living entity is selfless. Somebody likes you. For what reason? Maybe you sing well. Maybe you're very intelligent. You're very intelligent, therefore I like you. Because I think that if I associate with you, if I make you my friend, I would get some help in assignments. I would get some help in my study. So therefore, I want to befriend you. If you're a very rich person, I like you very much. Because if I'm in need of some money, you might help me. If you're a very beautiful person, then I would like to take some advantage of your physical beauty. So nobody wants to become friends with people who are useless or worthless. But then when Krishna loves us, that love is selfless. Why? Because what can we offer anything to him? He has everything. He doesn't need to take anything from us. So therefore, his love for us is selfless. Because what can we give to someone who's the proprietor, who's the manager, who's the controller, who's the creator of this world? He has created everything. What can I give to him? If he loves us, then that love is selfless, because you can do nothing that can gratify his senses. He is completely satisfied in himself. So what we need to understand is that our relationship with Krishna and Krishna's devotees is what what matters the most in this world. This is the most important relationship. My relationship as an Atma with the Paramatma Krishna is the most important relationship. And because devotees of Krishna lead me on the path towards Krishna, therefore my relationship with devotees of Krishna, that comes second, that takes second importance. I'll repeat it again. My relationship with Krishna is the most important relationship for me. And because devotees of Krishna lead me on the path towards Krishna, therefore my relationship with the devotees of Krishna takes second priority. So these are the two important things. How can I revive my relationship? So you're telling that, all of us, have a relationship with Krishna. But what relationship have you with Krishna? Is Krishna your friend? Is Krishna your father? Is Krishna your, consort? Is Krishna your partner? What relationship do you have with Krishna? All of us have one unique relationship with Krishna, but we have forgotten that relationship. In the spiritual world, all of us, when we were in the spiritual world, we had a relationship with Krishna, but we had forgotten that relationship now. After we have entered into this material world, we have forgotten that relationship. So the whole process of Bhakti Yoga, we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra to revive that relationship, to revive our memory of Krishna. So we have a relationship with Krishna, but we have forgotten that relationship now. How do I remember that? How do I revive that relationship? How do I revive those lost memories of Krishna? Because from so many millions of births, I've been there in this material world. How do I revive that relationship? By chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, by undertaking the process of Bhakti Yoga. So Srila Prabhupada gives a very nice statement. He says, Bhakti Yoga is the art of eternal love. We think, all of us think, I'm in love with my parents, I'm in love with my girlfriend, I'm in love with my wife, I'm in love with my dog, I'm in love with my boss, I'm in love with my colleagues. But this love is temporary because I am temporary. My body is temporary, their body is temporary. Therefore, this relationship is temporary. But anything in this world that is temporary is bound to make you frustrated, is bound to give you a heartburn. But then because I am eternal as a spirit soul, Krishna is eternal as a spirit soul. So therefore, this relationship is also eternal. So therefore, this eternal relationship will bring me maximum joy. So just see the beautiful definition Srila Prabhupada gives. He calls Bhakti Yoga. What is Bhakti? Bhakti means loving God. Very simple, but very profound definition. If somebody asks you, what is Krishna Bhakti? Krishna Bhakti means loving Krishna or trying to love Krishna. That is the process of Bhakti Yoga, trying to love Krishna. Prabhupada calls Bhakti as the art of eternal love. Now, what are the relationships that one can have with Krishna? The cows of Vrindavan, they were in Shantarasa with Krishna. Hanumanji was in Dasarasa with Sri Ram. In the sense, any service that Lord Ram required, Hanuman would perform it immediately. In this picture, you can see Lord Ram wanted to construct a bridge over the ocean to Lanka, and then Hanuman immediately started rendering some service. He started, collecting all the stones. He started inscribing the name of Lord Ram onto the stone. He started building the bridge. The Lord Ram and Lakshmana, they fell unconscious in the battle with Indrajit. He had flown all over to the Himalayas. He had gotten that Sanjeevani Jadi Booty. So he's ready to perform service. So Hanumanji is the perfection of service in Dasarasa. All of us are in a relationship with Krishna. All of us serve Krishna in a particular rasa. What that rasa is, we don't know. We have forgotten. But if you keep chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, after many, many years, what is that original relationship that you have with Krishna, that will be revealed. So there is one original relationship. There are 5 relationships: Shantarasa, like neutral rasa, or dasarasa, serving in servitude. Okay. Then we have Sakhirasa, treating God as your friend. For example, the cowherd boys of Vrindavan, they treated Krishna as his friend. They didn't consider Krishna as God. They just considered Krishna as their friend. Vatsalya Rasa, all the elderly gopis of Vrindavan, Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, Devaki Mata, Vasudeva, they all treated Krishna as their son. So the gopis of Vrindavan and the queens of Dwaraka, they treated Krishna as their husband. So all of them served Krishna in one particular rasa or in one particular relationship. So all of us living entities also have a unique relationship with Krishna. And that relationship falls under one of these five categories. What that is, we don't know. We have forgotten it. But if we consistently, regularly chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, after many, many years, maybe after many births, we realize that we understand what that relationship is. It actually comes to our memory. And that is the perfection of life. That is called Swarupa Siddhi. See this beautiful statement that I've taken from Srila Prabhupada's book, Rajavidya. Krishna says, whatever relationship we have with Krishna goes on. If we have a relationship in friendship, that friendship is eternal and continues from life to life. Suppose you have a very good friend. What breaks the friendship? Generally, what breaks friendship between two people? Maybe you have cheated the other person, or maybe you've spoken ill of the other person. I used to have a very good friend of mine. He was my best friend at school. And then I joined a particular high school for my class 11. And then he didn't like that school. But he said, I'm joining this school only because of you. Because we've been close friends, we've been benchmates till class 10. So I would like to join this, another school for intermediate, as we would call in South India, for class 11 and class 12, because you are joined. And then what happened? There was another person, and then because he was intelligent or he was the topper of the class, I started spending more time with him, solving assignments with him. And that fellow and this best friend of mine, they were bitter enemies. So this best friend of mine had asked me, don't talk with that fellow. He's my enemy. I don't talk to him. I don't want you to talk to him. I told him, see, you're still my best friend. But then, I'm also good friends with the other person. You can learn a lot from the other person. I will not stop talking with him. So this fellow said, because you're not listening to me, you're talking to my enemy, I'll stop talking to you from this day onwards. And then after that, we never spoke. Maybe we met after some 10 years somewhere, in an airport, and then we laughed at our, foolishness, and then we apologized and we became friends again. So friendships can break even over trivial things like this. But if you make Krishna your friend, Krishna will never disappoint you in any way. What does Srila Prabhupada say again? If we make Krishna our master, we will never be cheated. Suppose if you're working under a particular, company, say for example, your boss in a particular company, although you're working very hard, he favors some other person over you. He doesn't recommend you for promotion. He recommends somebody else for promotion. You think, Hare, I've done better than that person. I'm a senior to him. Why is my boss not recognizing my work? He's cheated me. So your own boss, your own master can cheat you. Your own teacher can cheat you. Your own Ph.D. supervisor can cheat you. But then if you accept Krishna as your master, he will never cheat you because he's selfless. What can Krishna get by cheating you? Because he has everything. He doesn't need anything from you. So therefore, Krishna, if you accept him as your master, you will never be cheated. What spoils the relationship between a master and a servant is cheating. What spoils the relationship between two lovers is separation. Suppose you love some girl and then that girl dies, for example. So death is separating both of you. But then if you love Krishna, death can never separate because as a soul, you're eternal. Krishna is eternal. So there is no question of separation because of death. So that's what Prabhupada is saying. If you love Krishna as our son, he will never die. What is the most disturbing thing for a father? To see his own son die in front of his own eyes. That's the most disturbing, that is the most devastating thing for any father. But if you treat Krishna as your own son, most of us, we have these Bal Gopal deities at home. And then how would you worship this Bal Gopal deity? As your own son, right? So this Bal Gopal deity, you bathe the deity every day. You decorate the deity with good garments, with nice outfits. You offer different items, flowers, fruits, different preparations to this Bal Gopal deity. So you are actually worshipping this Bal Gopal deity as your own son. So your son, when you become old, maybe your son can desert you. Maybe your son will throw you out of your home. But then if you treat Krishna as your own son, he will never disown you. So this is what Prabhupada is saying. If you have to build a relationship, then build that relationship with Krishna because he's Rasa Raj. or he's the king of all rasas, of all these 5 rasas, of innumerable rasas. He's a reservoir of all pressure. So how to revive? I told you in the previous slide that we have forgotten our relationship with Krishna. Why? How can I revive that relationship? By the process of bhakti, by the process of chanting Hare Krishna mantra, I can revive that lost or forgotten relationship with Krishna. So these are the 9 stages of bhakti. The first stage is having some faith. All of you are attending this class now because you believe in God. You're from traditional, religious families. You think there is God. You believe in God. You want to know more about Bhagavad Gita. So therefore, you have some faith. And with that faith, you attend these classes. And then how do you progress ahead in spiritual life? First thing is sadhu sangha, or association with devotees. Some devotee meets you somewhere in the campus, or some devotee meets you somewhere online, and he tells you, please attend these programs on Bhagavad Gita. We are having weekly sessions on Bhagavad Gita. Please start attending. And the devotee comes up to you and says that you've been attending these classes for a long time. Now is the time for you to begin chanting this Hare Krishna mantra. Please take this process of mantra meditation seriously. Please chant the Hare Krishna mantra. And then later, the devotee encourages you to read Bhagavad Gita. The devotee offers you prasada. The devotee teaches you how to perform different services to the deity of Krishna. So it all begins with sadhu sangha. Bhakti or spiritual life, it all begins by associating with the devotee of Krishna. Remember, how did all of you come to the path of bhakti? Only by meeting some devotee, right? So the devotee gave you a book, the devotee gifted you with Bhagavad Gita, or the devotee offered you some prasada, or the devotee took to you to an ISKCON temple nearby. So it all begins with sadhu sangha or association with devotees. You see, there are 9 stages of devotional service. It all begins with sadhu sangha. And what is the highest step on this 9-stage ladder? The highest step is to develop love for Krishna, or to develop pure bhakti for Krishna. But it all begins with sadhu sangha, or association with devotees, or relationships with devotees. Everything begins with relationships with devotees. So if you need to have any relationship with anybody in this world, then the first consideration for that relationship should be with the devotee. I'm not saying that you should not have friendships with others. I'm not saying you should have friendships with your neighbors who are not devotees. No, you can have friendships with everyone. You should be kind to everyone. You should be friendly with everyone. You can say hi, hello, you can exchange pleasantries. But if you have to have a serious relationship, then have it with the devotee first. Have it with the devotee of Krishna first. Because what does the devotee do? A devotee of Krishna will always remind you about Krishna. The most important thing in this life is to always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. And a devotee of Krishna always reminds you of that. Therefore, if you were to have any meaningful relationship in this world, have it first with a devotee, or think about a devotee first. Okay? Now, what do you get by associating with devotees? What is the benefit that you get? I've been talking so much about associating with devotees. I'm talking so much about having meaningful relationships with devotees. What do you get? Will they give me money? Will they recommend me for a good job? Or will they teach me statistics? Will they teach me machine learning? What will I get by associating with devotees? Because the devotees will help you in attaining the perfection of your life. So what do? The devotees engage us in the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. They invite you for their weekly Bhagavad Gita classes. They invite you for the discussions on the Bhagavad Gita. They invite you for their meditation sessions. They offer you prasadam. They keep you in different services. Most of our boys, the Bhaktivedanta group boys, they hardly knew anything apart from studies. They hardly knew anything. But once they became serious with our group activities at IIT Kanpur, they began to learn different musical instruments. Many boys who had hardly gone into their kitchen, they started cooking. They learned cooking. There was a notable change in their behavior. They started singing. They started doing different kinds of things. Because once you come into the association of devotees, they teach you a lot of things. All of these spiritual activities that are performed for the satisfaction, for the pleasure of God, for Krishna, for pleasure of Krishna. They put you into all those things. You learn a lot from them. Okay? And sometimes people ask these questions. If Krishna were God, Why did he have so many girlfriends? Why did he marry so many people? Why did he have to steal butter in others' houses? If Rama were God, then why did he banish his pregnant wife to the forest? So people have all kinds of questions. So devotees actually explain these difficult topics. They go into the depth of these confidential leelas. The Rasa Leela of Krishna is not a very easy thing to understand. People actually only misunderstand these confidential topics. So the devotees take pains to explain. If Krishna is all happy by himself, why does he need to have somebody as his girlfriend? He's completely satisfied by himself, but he still does that. So why does he do that? Why does he have to steal butter? He's the proprietor of this entire world. Why does he need to steal butter from somebody else's home? So all these confidential topics about Krishna, who is going to enlighten you? The devotees. They will explain to you the confidential topics of Bhagavad Gita, from Bhagavatam. They explain confidential leelas of Krishna, of Lord Rama. So they enlighten you. And most of the times, Bhagavad Gita remains bookish knowledge. People read the whole Bhagavad Gita and then they ask, then they don't understand how to apply it in their life. How do you know how to live Bhagavad Gita in a practical way? Sometimes people read the whole Bhagavad Gita, but then they still continue with their sinful materialistic life. They don't know how to apply Bhagavad Gita in their life. So how can they learn? Where can they learn? Then they look at the life of devotees. They see, oh, this devotee is married. Oh, this devotee of Krishna has children. Oh, this devotee of Krishna is staying with his parents, with his wife, his children. He has a 9 to 5 job. He's going to office. He's working. He's coming back. He's spending time with his family. But still, he's practicing all the topics mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. He's living the concepts of the Bhagavad Gita. How is he able to do that? So we can actually learn by looking at the lives of devotees as to how to practically apply the concepts of Bhagavad Gita in one's life. So we can, that is a practical demonstration. Their life, their character is a practical demonstration of living life through the concepts of the Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, if we do not happen to associate with such devotees, Bhagavad Gita just remains bookish knowledge. That's it. And if we have some problems, we always have the devotees to approach. Suppose if you don't feel like chanting, suppose if you think you're addicted to, there were many boys who were coming to our group, they had different problems. Some of them had porn addiction, some of them had internet addiction, some of them had, some failed relationships with, girls. And they would all come to us and they would ask, I'm very disturbed, I'm very disappointed. What do I need to do? I want to commit suicide. So we have actually talked to many of those boys and we have tried to bring them out of their depression. So when you're in a low phase of your life, you can actually associate with devotees and you can take guidance. One might ask, why do I need to talk to devotees to come out of depression? Why can't I talk to a psychiatrist or a counselor? No, because a devotee of Krishna actually looks at life through the eyes of the Bhagavad Gita. Because the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is infallible. Therefore, one who tries to look at the situations of life through the eyes of Bhagavad Gita can actually permanently bring you out of that grief. So therefore, when you have a problem, it's always good to approach a devotee. So these are the different advantages of associating with Vaishnavas. Now, I think I am out of time, but Jeevnesh, can I take 10 more minutes?
Yes, bro. You
Yeah?
must take more time because otherwise we'll miss the climax of the talk.
Okay, so there is one example of Bharat Maharaj. You know how India got its name as Bharat? It's because of this king called Bharat Maharaj. So this story you'll find it in Srimad Bhagavatam, the ripened fruit of Vedic literature. So this Bharat Maharaj, when he was just in his late 20s, he gave up his kingdom. He had assigned the kingdom to one of his grown-up sons, and then he had left his kingdom, he had left his family members, all he went to a forest, and then he wanted to seriously perform a bhakti yoga. So therefore he had gone to a forest. And then what had he done there? He saw a deer, a pregnant deer being attacked by a tiger, lion, and then out of that fear, the pregnant deer, it gave birth to a baby deer, and it died on the spot. And the lion had ran away, looking at this Bharat Maharaj. So then he thought, oh, this deer fawn, a newborn baby deer is called a fawn. So this fawn is so young, it's just small. Let me Take care of it. So he got that baby deer back to his ashram, and then he started taking care of it. He started bathing it. He started feeding it. And after some time, he forgot the very purpose of why he had come to the forest. He had given up the kingdom, the emperorship of the whole world, to come to the forest to practice bhakti seriously. And what did he do? He got attached to a baby deer and he completely abandoned his spiritual duties. He gave up his morning meditation, he gave up his morning worship. He was just going around the deer trying to attend to the different needs of the deer. So what you see is that this, and eventually what had happened, once the deer had run away from the ashram, and this Bharat Maharaj, he was very disturbed. He was looking all over the forest for this deer which had run away. And then, in that anxiety, it was very dark in the night. So he had fallen into a valley and then he got hurt severely and he died on the spot. And then because at the time of death, he was thinking of the deer, in his next birth, he had got the body of a deer. Because Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, what do you remember at the time of death? That body you will get. Because he was thinking of the deer at the time of his death, he got the body of a deer in his next birth. So this is the problem, because if there were a devotee would have told Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj was not associating with devotees in the forest because there was nobody. He was all alone by himself. Nobody told him, yes, you should be compassionate to dumb creatures. You should be compassionate to wild animals. But then you were compassionate for some time. Let it go. A deer knows how to take care of itself in the forest. You should not have wasted so much of your time investing into the well-being of the deer. You should have left it. You should have taken care of it for some time. You should have left it by itself in the forest. Why did you waste so much time? He got attached to the deer. He had completely given up his spiritual duties. And then because of that attachment to the deer, from the body of a king of the world, he had fallen to the position of a deer. So we see that how he was, in the body of the deer, he remembered his previous birth, and in the next birth, he got into the body of Jada Bharat, how he got liberated. That's a long story. But what this means is that lack of association of devotees actually makes us non-serious in bhakti, in neglect. Because if there's a devotee is not going to keep quiet. If you're not chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, they would say, Prabhu, you have not chanted your rounds today. You committed to chant one round of Hare Krishna mantra every day. You haven't chanted today. You should not neglect your spiritual duty. You committed to reading one page of Bhagavad Gita every day and you didn't do that today. Why don't you read? What are you reading these days? So a devotee would always caution us. So because of that lack of association of devotees in that forest, Bharat Maharaj fell down. So what can association with the devotee do? You see here, there's this hunter called Brigari, who is an exceptionally sadistic hunter. He would not kill animals completely. He would half kill them. He would take pleasure in seeing them moan in pain. He would take pleasure in seeing them writhe in pain. He would half kill them and he would see them die in pain. So this sadistic hunter, when he associated with Narad Muni told him, give up the sinful life. You're killing animals, you're troubling them, and you're not killing them all of a sudden, but you are killing them day by day. You're committing such sinful activities that you will have a permanent place in the hell for all these sinful activities. So this hunter became afraid. He said, tell me what would I have to do? Narad Muni said, give up this hunting business. Don't kill animals. You start chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If you're just doing this activity to maintain yourself, I will supply all food to you. Just give up all these sinful activities. So this hunter agreed, and then he transformed himself. He and his wife, they started, they built a hut on the bank of the river. They started chanting the Hare Krishna mantra in front of the Tulsi plant. And within months, there was great transformation. And looking at this transformation in this hunter, all the villagers, they said, oh, he's such a changed man. He's such a compassionate man now. So he's chanting the names of Krishna all through the day. So let us supply food to him. So they all started bringing different foodstuffs. Everybody was giving him something or the other. So earlier he had to work so hard to get some food. And now everybody was coming and giving food to him. And then later in Narad Muni, in his second visit, he saw that this hunter was a changed man now. From a sadist, he became a saint only because of association with a saintly person, with a devotee of Krishna. This is the advantage. So this is the advantage of associating with a devotee, is that there's complete transformation. So what to do in a devotee association? What do we do? What do we need to do? Okay, this devotee is my friend. What do I need to do? Should I talk about cricket? Should I talk about the recent releases on OTT? Should I talk about the 2020 matches happening between India and England? What do we need to discuss? No. With devotees, listen together about Krishna. Listen about Krishna. That is Shravanam. Listening Srimad Bhagavatam. Listening Bhagavad Gita. That is what you need to do. Kirtana. What do you need to do with devotees? You have a relationship with devotees, but what do you need to do in that relationship? Chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra together, assemble together early in the morning, rise early in the morning, chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra together, perform different services. If some devotee is actually, designing a poster for a Bhagavad Gita class, you can volunteer to help that devotee. If a devotee is cooking some prasadam for 100 people, you can go and help him. If a devotee is going out and distributing Bhagavad Gita, he's knocking every door in the hostel and is giving Bhagavad Gita to everyone, go and help him. So you can do services together. You can help him in his service to Krishna. That is what you need to do in a relationship with a devotee. What else? You can take prasadam together. You find great joy in sharing prasadam with the devotees. None of us like to eat alone, right? But when you honor Krishna prasadam in the company and association of devotees, well, that is the greatest joy in the world. And then yatra. Sometimes our group, Bhaktivedanta group at IIT Kanpur, we take different yatras. We undertake different pilgrimages to holy places, to Vrindavan, to Mayapur, to Jagannath Puri, to Haridwar, to Rishikesh. So whenever such a advertisement, whenever such a thing comes to your notice, you should immediately go for a yatra with the devotees. I'm telling you one very important thing. If you go to Vrindavan all by yourself, or if you go to Haridwar all by yourself, you cannot see anything there. If you go to Vrindavan all alone by yourself, you will see pigs, you will see dirty roads, you will see garbage all over. You will not see anything. But if you go to Vrindavan in the association of devotees, you will see Krishna everywhere. You will see everybody chanting. You will see everybody dancing. You will see everyone, everything as a devotee, as a part and parcel of Krishna. So association of devotees is the most important thing in spiritual practice. So this is what you need to do. So what you should not do in the association of devotees, gossip. In a sense, when two devotees come together, you should not gossip about mundane things. Oh, this hero is having this affair with that heroine. Or this hero and heroine, they broke off. This movie which released last week, not that good. It was waste of time. No, you don't discuss such mundane things. You discuss about Bhagavad Gita, you discuss about your spiritual practice, you discuss about your problems in spiritual life. You can say, oh friend, oh Prabhu, I'm not finding it easy to get up early in the mornings. I know if I get up early in the morning, I can study well, I can chant well, but I'm not able to do so. But can you help me out? And what you should not also do is to criticize the devotee. Because ISKCON is an organization which has devotees across all over the globe. Suppose if an American devotee comes, you should not say, oh, he is an American devotee, he's born in America. What does he know about Krishna? I'm born in India. I'm born in the land of Bhagavad Gita. What will this fellow teach me about Bhagavad Gita? You wouldn't have read the Bhagavad Gita even once in your whole life. You wouldn't have even touched the Bhagavad Gita once in your whole life. But some devotee who's born in America, he's adopted Vedic culture. He has read the Bhagavad Gita. He's living his whole life by the principles of Bhagavad Gita. You begin to criticize that is an offense. That is something you should never do. You should never criticize the devotee. You should not criticize the devotee for his social or economic status. Oh, this devotee is born in a Dalit caste. You should never say that. In fact, you should never discriminate anyone on the basis of social or economic background. But if it's a devotee, then you should never, definitely not, to discriminate somebody because of their low birth or their low social or low economic status. It's an offense. Krishna or God will never be happy. Even if you treat others, or even if you treat devotees based on their birth, based on their caste, based on their economic or social status, Krishna takes it very seriously. Or you criticize the devotee for his physical appearance. Oh, he's very short. He's 19, but he's gone bald. Oh, he's so dark. Heck. No, if you criticize the devotee based on his physical appearance, Krishna takes it very seriously. He will not allow you to progress in your spiritual life. So this is called this mad elephant offense. If you offend the devotee of Krishna, then your spiritual life is finished. Just like a mad elephant, it destroys everything that comes in its way. Nothing can be saved from a mad elephant's ram. So similarly, if you offend the devotee of Krishna, then your spiritual life is finished. So why does it hurt Krishna? If you hurt anybody in this world, Krishna is hurt. Whether be it a devotee or a non-devotee. Krishna always wants all of us to be kind, to be merciful, to be soothing, to be compassionate. But if you are unkind to your devotee, he's offended the most. So Prabhupada gives a very nice explanation. He says, just like if your son is hurt, then you're very hurt. If your son is pained, then you're very pained. So similarly, the devotees of Krishna are offended. Krishna takes it personally. He's offended. Therefore, never offend a devotee. Okay, so how can you strengthen your relationships with devotees? What do you need to do? What can you do? There are 6 ways in which you can develop friendly relationships. So this slide is the topic of today's presentation: secret of healthy relationships. Of course, I'm saying it with devotees, but then this applies to everybody. But then with devotees, this applies the most. Okay, dadati means giving gifts to devotees. When I say give gifts to devotees, doesn't mean that you need to gift them with a ambassador, so Mercedes Benz, or you need to gift them with a very devotees are very simple. Even if you gift them with a japamala, they're happy. You gift them with a bead bag, they're happy. You gift them with a book, small book, Prabhupada's book of 10 rupees, they're very happy. So gift them something. And when they give some gifts, don't be like, no, I can't accept any gifts. When they gift them something, accept it. Even if it's a very small gift, be thankful for it. Giving gifts to Vaishnavas, accepting gift from Vaishnavas. Third thing is Guhyamakhyati. If somebody comes to you with a personal problem, then help that person out. If anybody comes to you and tells you, I have a problem with internet addiction, what do you need to do? So you don't need to advertise this problem of this devotee to others. When the devotee goes away, you don't need to tell the others, oh, this devotee, he has this problem. He is addicted to internet. He's addicted to porn. No. If somebody is approaching you in confidence, you advise that person in confidence. Don't leak the problems of this devotee to others. Now, Prichati. If you have a problem, it's the opposite. You go and ask a senior devotee, sir, I have this problem. Oh, Prabhu, I have this problem. I cannot get up early in the morning. Or I don't feel like reading the Bhagavad Gita. I find it very boring. I find Srimad Bhagavatam very boring. Or I don't find taste in chanting Hare Krishna mantra. Or I'm addicted to movies a lot. What should I do? How can I balance my studies? How can I balance my spiritual life? Because the devotee of Krishna will never advise you to give up your duties. As a student, your most important duty is that you should study. When you grow up, when you take up a job, your most important duty is that you have to take care, or you should execute your official responsibilities to the best of your ability. You should be very honest in your official assignments, right? So just because you're a devotee doesn't mean that you neglect your studies. Just because you're a devotee, you neglect your official duties. No, you should execute all those duties very nicely. At the same time, you have a problem, you ask a devotee, this is the problem that I have, what should I do? Bhukte and bhojayate. When some devotee invites you for prasadam, go and have prasadam. If they're just giving you dal rice, be happy. If they give you 56 items, still be happy. Don't criticize them. Oh, he called me for prasadam to his home, he's just given me khichdi. No, just be happy with whatever they give. And when they come to your home, serve them. So these are the 6 ways in which you can strengthen your relationships with devotees. Just not with devotees. These 6 principles are so wonderful. The acharyas have given us. If you execute any of this with any person in this world, you can strengthen your relationship. Now, this is the last slide. Is that how to spiritualize the relationships of this world? Sometimes people ask, see, devotees of Krishna are maybe 0.01% in this world. Okay, but I need to talk to my parents who are not devotees of Krishna. I need to talk to my teachers. I need to talk to my friends. I need to talk to my roommates. I need to talk to my colleagues. They're not Krishna's devotees. So how should I balance? On one hand, you're saying you should have strong relationships with devotees of Krishna. On the other hand, I find myself amongst non-devotees of Krishna to the maximum possible extent. So how can I balance this? The solution is simple. Spiritualize your relationships. Any relationship that you have with anybody in this world, get Krishna into the picture. Spiritualize that relationship. If you're going home for the vacation, you tell your parents, see, this Hare Krishna mantra is very nice. Why don't you chant? Or this Bhagavad Gita, I began reading the Bhagavad Gita. It's very nice. So I have this gift for you. Why don't you read one shloka every day? So bring Krishna or bring Krishna consciousness to every relationship. Making Krishna the third partner means bringing Krishna. There are two partners in any relationship. So if you bring Krishna to the center of any relationship, he becomes the third partner. Only such a relationship where there is Krishna in the center, that relationship is fulfilling. That relationship will give you happiness. That relationship will never disappoint you. That relationship will never depress you. If you remove Krishna from any relationship, if God is not the center of any of your relationships, that relationship will eventually disappoint you, depress you, bore you, and make you unhappy. And then some practical things that you can do is avoid intimate relationships with non-devotees. For example, if you have a roommate who's into smoking, avoid him. That doesn't mean that you shout at him or you be unkind to him or you slap him. No, try to avoid him. Say hi, hello. That's it. Don't be very close with him because you are what your association is. If you associate more with the devotee of Krishna, you become a devotee of Krishna. You associate more with a drunkard, you become a drunkard. Somebody is preparing very hard for CAT or for MS or GRE or something, you associate with a person, you become very good at that. If you associate with a person who's not interested in studies, you also lose all interest in studies. But because the goal of your life is to become a devotee of Krishna, you have to associate with somebody who's a devotee of Krishna. You can have relationships with everyone. You see a neighbor, you open your door, you see a neighbor, you can say good morning. Just because he's not a devotee of Krishna doesn't mean that you ignore him or you look down upon him with disdain or something. No, just say hi, just say good morning. Just laugh at him, give him some prasad. Talk to him about Bhagavad Gita. Discuss about him. You can comment on any contemporary event of the world, based on the wisdom that you have gained from Bhagavad Gita. Everybody in this world is a child of Krishna. Even the dog on the street is a child of Krishna. Even this plant, this tree which is giving you so much shade, this tree which is offering you, serving you with vegetables, fruits, everything in this world is a child of Krishna. So be kind to all. Be merciful to all. Be friendly with all. That is the secret of healthy relationship. The moment you start taking advantage of a relationship, the moment you take a selfish interest in a relationship, that is when the relationship begins to falter. So be friendly with everyone, but be extra friendly with devotees of Krishna. Don't give your heart to non-devotees. Give your heart to devotees of Krishna. Because ultimately, that relationship that you foster, that relationship that you make with devotees of Krishna will ultimately help you in building a relationship with Krishna. Okay? And be tolerant and sensitive to family members. Give them their time to accept the process. Suppose you're chanting Hare Krishna mantra and your father doesn't like it. He says, what are you chanting this mantra? You're spending half an hour every day in the morning chanting this mantra. Stop doing it. You should not shout at him or you should not tell him, oh, father, you've grown so old, you've become 50 years of age. You don't understand the value of human life. You don't understand that the most important thing in this world or in this human form of life is to become a devotee of Krishna or to perfect your relationship with Krishna. You don't know. You're so old, you've grown so old, you're so educated, but you don't know the simple truth. No, don't insult. If you have taken your own time, give them their time. Be tolerant. Be calm. People become devotees only when they see some transformation in you. If you are like your old self, you are your own old irritable self, you are your own old angry self, nobody's going to believe. If you show the transformation in your character, then people are impressed. Oh, this guy before becoming a student of Bhagavad Gita, he was very angry, he used to be easily irritated, but now there's a lot of change after he started reading Bhagavad Gita, after he started chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, there's a lot of change. So then people actually become devotees. And the best thing is share Krishna consciousness with all favorable people. There are many ways to do so. You can give them Prabhupada's book, you can tell them about Bhagavad Gita, you can invite them for Kirtan, you can, just say Hare Krishna. And when you say Hare Krishna, they ask you, what is this Hare Krishna? Then you tell them, like, in villages, we say Jai Shri Ram. In UP especially, if you go in villages, they say Ram Ram. They don't say Namaste, they don't say hi, hello. Hello and hi do not have any meaning, actually. They're nonsense. They say Ram Ram Kaka, Ram Ram Buvaji, like that. So devotees of Krishna, they say Hare Krishna. So they ask you, what is Hare Krishna? Then you tell them, this is how we greet others. Because when we say Hare Krishna, that reminds me of Krishna and that reminds the opposite person of Krishna. So this is the way to invoke the blessings of Krishna on both of us. So you can say like that. So just find a way, share Krishna consciousness with people, share books with people. Everybody at least will accept prasadam. Nobody in India will refuse prasadam. I've seen Muslims taking prasadam. I've seen Christians taking prasadam. I used to take an auto to go from, the place where I was living to the temple back many years back in Pune. I stay in Pune. So then I would ask the auto wala to stop, and then I would pay his money, and I would say, just wait for some time, I'll give you prasadam. So I would, all ISKCON temples give this wonderful khichdi in, in this leaf cups, these zones. And then I used to get that and I used to give. So once upon a time, I found out that, the auto driver was a Muslim. So then I got the prasadam in this zone, and I told him this is prasadam. Then I realized he's a Muslim. I said, oh, sorry, I didn't know that you're a Muslim, because I saw that, Quran Arabic quote on the auto, which I didn't see before. He said, I'm a Muslim, but I take prasadam. I like this khichdi very much. So people, share Krishna consciousness with everyone. Make Krishna the third partner of every relationship. Relationship without Krishna in the center will frustrate and depress you sooner or later. Okay, so that brings us, sorry, I took some 15-20 minutes extra. So this is, I think, the secrets of healthy relationships. I'll just try to summarize that, which is the last line. Make Krishna the third partner of every relationship. That is, try to bring Krishna in the center of every relationship. Relationship without Krishna will sooner or later frustrate us. But if you have Krishna in the center, then that relationship will be very fulfilling. Because Krishna is eternal, that anything, if you bring Krishna into the center, then that becomes meaningful, that gives you happiness and joy. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. I hope it's of some use to you. Any questions? What do we do, Jinesh? We chant or we take some questions?
Yeah, we can. Today we have Dr. Atish Daryapurkar also. So
Oh,
maybe, yeah.
hello, Atish sir. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine.
Thank you. So, what do we do now?
I joined as an assistant professor at IIT Nagpur.
Okay. Yeah, good. I saw that. I came to know that. Nice to see you after a long time.
Same here.
Yeah. So, Jinesh, what do we do now? Do we take some questions or do we chant one round of the Hare Krishna mantra? What
Yeah, we can take some questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would like to.
Actually, Jinesh Prabhu requests me to do a vote of thanks. So, relationship. It is a very good topic that you have selected, and from your presentation and from your references, it is everyone in this session can appreciate the knowledge that you have, and what is the level of your practice that everyone can appreciate. And the relationship with the Venkat Prabhu, I can say, the Venkat Prabhu is the person who introduced me to the Krishna, and Professor Lakshmidhar Bera sir.
Yeah.
No. So you are the person who introduced me with the Krishna, and I today also I remember that meeting in front of our door. Actually, Venkat Prabhu was the neighbor, and in front of door I asked the question, and Venkat Prabhu told me there is a workshop going on, and you just join that workshop, and you can ask many questions to the Bera sir as much you possible. And that was the first introduction with the Krishna and Bhagavad Gita and the spiritual knowledge, and that was the turning point of my life. And I thankful to Professor Lakshmidhar Bera, who is my spiritual guru, and Junesh Prabhu, obviously, who takes follow of my practice, and he insists me to continue my practice, and he helped me to improve in my practice. So I thankful to Junesh Prabhu, Behra sir, and of course the Venkat Prabhu, who is the first person who introduced the Krishna. So relationship, what I can summarize, yes. So I just conclude, or it is actually I'm very not eligible to summarize the talk of the Venkat Prabhu, but still what I understood, if you have a very good and healthy relationship with the Krishna, then doesn't matter in material world that you should not worry about all the relationship, whatever the concern in the material world. Once you have a good relationship with the Krishna, you will have the good relationship with everyone in this material world. That I understood.
Good,
am I correct, Venkat Prabhu?
Yeah, good summary. Point is, if you get Krishna into any relationship that you have in this world, then all relationships become successful. See, because Krishna is selfless, devotees are selfless. Relationships are broken due to selfishness. So when the Krishna element comes in between, because Krishna is all pure, Krishna will actually purify our mind, he will purify our heart, he will purify our consciousness. So when Krishna becomes the third partner, there are two partners in any relationship, be it friendship, be it husband-wife relationship. So when Krishna becomes the third partner, everything becomes purified. So because Krishna is all happiness himself, he's joy personified. Therefore, that joy, that happiness also comes. So suppose if the other partner is not willing to accept Krishna, that's what I said. Not everybody has to accept Krishna. So be kind, be tolerant, be sensitive. Don't become insensitive. Don't become angry. I have taken so much time. So they will also take their own time. So people will become devotees looking at your practice, actually, more looking at your practice. If you are chanting the Hare Krishna mantra 24 hours a day, who cares? But then what kind of behavior you're showing? Are you showing, sensitivity? Are you showing tolerance? Are you showing simplicity? Looking at that, people change. And then when they know all this change has occurred because of reading the Bhagavad Gita, has occurred primarily due to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, then they become inspired to take up this process of Krishna consciousness. Thank you, Atish.
Yeah, thank you, Atish sir, for the wonderful summary. So, Venkat sir, we have some questions in chat. So,
Oh, is it?
please, yeah.
How do I, let me look at the chat, okay. Okay, this first question is from Alok Kumar Mishra. Hello, Alok. Sir, you said that every relationship continues only till it satisfies. But sir, at times there have been examples of the love of a mother for the child which continues even if the child neglects her, even if the child brings miseries. So how can we say that mother's love is also pure? Very good question. So Alok, actually, Srila Prabhupada said that amongst all the relationships in this world, the love of a mother for an infant child, that is the most selfless relationship. Srila Prabhupada said that there's nobody who can love us more than Krishna, because Krishna is the actual parent. See, you said a very, very nice point. You said that, a mother's love for her child is the most selfless love, or it is the greatest love. But then what about Krishna? Who is the mother, father? Krishna says, Mata Dhata Pitamaha. I am the mother, I am the grandfather, I am the father, I am the life of everything. So Krishna is the father and mother of my mother also. My mother's love for me is actually coming from Krishna. So you are very right in the sense that amongst all relationships in this world, a love of mother for the child, especially for an infant child, is selfless. So Prabhupada says that if you want an example to understand Krishna's love for us, then he said, look at the love of mother for the child. So he says that relationship or the love of the mother that a mother has for the child, that comes very close to the love that Krishna has for all of us. So you're right in that way. But then see what happens, when the child grows up, definitely the parents actually expect the child to take care of them. There is some expectation. And, most often parents actually dictate what the child should say. I've seen in many homes, parents say that you should marry the girl that I show you. Mother says that, you should marry the girl of this caste only, or you should marry the girl that I show you. You should stay back in India, or you should do that. Or everybody wants to satisfy their own ego. Actually, out of love, sometimes what parents do is that they try to have their, मतलब इसको मैंने पैदा किया, इसको मैंने पाल पोस के बड़ा किया है, तो मेरा आज्ञा ये कैसा नकार सकता है? How can he refuse my? So they get into that ego struggle. Yes, you are right in the sense that the relationship of a mother and a child it is very close, but then that's in very rare cases. There's definitely expectation of some return, be it a mother or a child or whatever. Some expectation of return is there, but definitely it comes closer to Krishna's love. I agree with you. Thank you. What is the next question? Sir, how do we have faith in Krishna, or how do we start to have faith? Okay, this is by Naren Rao. Naren Rao, thank you for that, Krishna. How do we have faith in Krishna? Suppose if I don't have faith in Krishna, so how do I develop faith in Krishna? Simple, by associating with devotees. So, Srila Prabhupada gives a very nice example. Srila Prabhupada says that if you associate with a drunkard, you become a drunkard. If you associate with a womanizer, then you become a womanizer. That's why in English we have this saying, you are known by the company you keep. If I'm told that this is your friend, then I understand what kind of person you are. Because if I get to know that this womanizer or this prostitute hunter is your friend, that means you're also like that. So you become what you associate with. So if you do not have faith in Krishna, then associate with devotees. If you associate with devotees, then your faith in Krishna improves. But definitely, Naren, you have some kind of faith in Krishna already because you're attending this class. So this is a class in the Bhagavad Gita or the principles of Bhagavad Gita. So because you're already attending this, so some kind of faith you already have. But then if you want to improve that faith, or if you want to build that faith, then you associate more with devotees of Krishna. If you associate with materialistic people, materialistic minded people, then they take your mind and heart away from Krishna. Associate more with devotees of Krishna, read more of Srila Prabhupada's books, especially chant the Hare Krishna mantra. I request all of you who are there in this class, the newcomers especially, this is not an ordinary mantra. If you want to take one thing from me, from this whole 1.5 hour session, if there is one thing that you want to take home, one take home message is that please believe in the power and potency of the Hare Krishna mantra. It's not an ordinary mantra. It's extremely fulfilling. It's extremely powerful. It gives you so much spiritual strength. See, if you have this strength, you can deal with any difficult situation in your life. So I would request Naren, if you actually want to increase your faith in Krishna, chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra more. If you're chanting one mala of Hare Krishna mantra every day, then I would request you to increase your rounds, make it 2, make it 4. Eventually, you should get it to 16. And then if you chant the Hare Krishna mantra more, then you develop more faith in Krishna. You develop more love for Krishna. Your relationship with Krishna becomes stronger. So please, I request all of you to sincerely chant the Hare Krishna mantra every day without fail. I'm told by Jivnesh Prabhu that you have a meditation session every day in the morning. So please do attend it and please chant. That is the only thing I ask all of you to remember from this class, is that please chant the Hare Krishna mantra regularly. It's an extremely, extremely powerful mantra. It's called the Maha Mantra. It's the most powerful mantra. So please believe in this mantra. This mantra will protect you. Therefore, the last slide of my presentation is chant Hare Krishna and be happy. So this is Srila Prabhupada's statement. If you chant Hare Krishna, you will always be happy. There is a sea of change in my life the moment, the day I started, started chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. I'm not saying that if you chant the Hare Krishna mantra, everything will be successful. You'll become good in whatever you do. There'll be no problem in your life. There'll be no difficulties in your life. I'm not saying that. Whatever you do it nicely. Whatever difficulties come in your life, you will have all the strength to deal with those difficulties and problems. You develop that inner strength. Everything becomes easy for you. Dealing with difficulties becomes easy. Dealing with disadvantages becomes easy. Dealing with all situations, all possible good or bad situations, it becomes very easy. Life becomes easy for you if you chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Definitely, auspiciousness is a byproduct of Krishna consciousness. You'll have money, you'll have a good job, you'll have a good wife, good children, good family, everything will be there. But all of that, if you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, everything falls into its place. Because Krishna is the one who gives everything to us. It is God who gives us everything. So when we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, we are invoking the auspicious presence of Krishna into our life. So when there is Krishna into our life, we don't have to worry for anything, right? So Mayank Chaurasia, next question, a very nice question. How to connect our studies with Krishna? Am I audible now? Yes. So, hey, why am I being muted?
You are not muted. You are audible.
Okay.
Yeah, you are audible.
So this question is, how do we connect our studies with Krishna? That's a very important question, especially because all of you are students. You should never neglect your studies in the name of Krishna consciousness, because there are some people who are not interested in studies. When they're not interested in studies, then they take up the garb of Krishna consciousness. Because ever since I started taking up more interest in Bhagavad Gita, I've begun to neglect my studies. No, a real devotee of Krishna will never neglect his academic responsibilities or his official responsibilities or his family engagements. No, you will actually do it much better. Only people who are lazy, in the garb of Krishna consciousness, in the disguise of Krishna consciousness, they neglect their studies. So how do you connect your studies to Krishna? You realize that this is a duty that is given to you by Krishna. The only way in which we can work together, we can work better, or how do we begin to look at our work, be it studies or be it my office responsibilities? How do I look at them how do I connect them to Krishna? Is that simple. If you're working, then you give part of your earnings for the service of Krishna. You donate a part of your monthly earnings to an ISKCON temple. Then your karma becomes karma yoga. Until you connect your karma or work with Krishna, it still remains karma. See, if you do karma, then you will have to suffer for the positive or the negative actions. But if you do karma yoga, that is, you connect your work with Krishna, so then that becomes karma yoga. So how, as a student, how can you actually make your studies, how can you connect your studies to Krishna? It's very simple. You take that work or you take that study as an assignment or as a service given to you by Krishna. Like chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra is an important service that is given to you by the devotee, so you do it. Because you love Krishna, therefore you chant Hare Krishna Mantra. So similarly, services are also given to you. Sometimes devotees request you, we have an upcoming program, so please cut vegetables. They might say that people, please purchase these stuff from the market, or please help us in making these posters. Please help us in, distributing prasadam. Please help us in washing the utensils. So many things, because when you organize a program, there's so many things to be done. So then you take it up as a service for the pleasure of Krishna and you do it. Similarly, look upon your studies also as a service given to you by Krishna. So that is how you connect. Okay, I'm a devotee of Krishna. So if I don't study properly, then what will people do? They'll all blame me. Oh, this fellow, they'll blame, in fact, they'll not blame me, but they'll blame Krishna. They'll blame Sri Prabhupada. They'll say, this fellow, after he became a devotee of Krishna, then he stopped studying. So if I stop studying, then the blame will actually go to Krishna, because a real servant will never want the blame to come on his master. So you don't want Krishna to get a bad name because of you. So therefore, you take up your studies as a service given to you by Krishna. So therefore, you study very well. You study to the best of your abilities. The best that you can do, you do it without neglecting your spiritual duties. You also study to the best of your abilities. It is possible. All of us have done that. How to do that, Naren? You should ask your seniors. You should ask Jimnesh. You should ask others. You'll get to know how to balance your studies and your spiritual responsibilities. People have been doing that. I have done that. I have seen others doing it. So it's not impossible. It's very much possible. So take upon your studies as a service given to you by God. And that's how, you do it. Study to please Krishna. If I waste time, Krishna is displeased. If I watch movies, if I sleep too much, if I browse internet too much, if I'm too much on Amazon Prime, Netflix, whatever, that, this and all, if I'm too much into Facebook, Krishna is displeased. See, if you're too much into Facebook and you neglect your studies, your parents are displeased, right? Because what will the parents think? I'm sending my son to IIT to study and this fellow is just wasting his time on internet. So therefore, your parents are displeased. So similarly, think that if I waste my time, Krishna is displeased. Either you have to study or you will have to do something which is Krishna conscious. You don't have a third option. There are only two options. Either you spend your time in studying or you spend your time in, sometimes you can exercise also. You want to, play something, shuttle badminton, or you want to jog, or you want to go for a walk, that's okay. But then you just have two options. You study or you spend time in Krishna consciousness. That's it. You take upon your studies also as a service given to you by Krishna. So that's how you connect your studies to Krishna. Naren, is that okay? Anything else? Do we have anything else?
Hare Krishna, sir.
Yes.
Sir, my question was, sir, I'm practicing this mantra meditation from at least from month.
Very nice.
So
Yeah.
I am seeing the differences in my means I am seeing the differences a little bit in my behavior and in my life. So.
Okay.
But there is a problem that when I see good differences in my material life, then it changes my means my focus from Krishna to the that material point. Means if I am going to play sports, then I am getting good results in that sports. But after that, as I am seeing good results in the sports, it changes my consciousness to the sports, that I am getting good results. That's why I should means chant that. So what what we have to do in that case?
Good, very, very good question, Jayesh, actually. So a very simple answer for this is that not always you'll get good results. So it's not that, things will always not be rosy for you. So initially, when you start to chant Hare Krishna mantra, maybe you're able to remember whatever you have studied. There are people who say that, I'm doing very well in studies, I'm getting better marks than before. So they take it up as a material advantage. But that's not the case in this material world. The material world is bound to surprise you. I'm telling you, it will always throw some surprises on you. So maybe, you chant the Hare Krishna mantra and then you go out to play football and then maybe suddenly you're fractured. So what will you do? So material circumstances, whether good or bad, they're not in our control. Sometimes they can happen, they can work out to our favor. Sometimes they might go against us. But what we should remember is that we are not chanting Hare Krishna mantra for any material advantage. We are chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to revive our relationship with Krishna. We are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra to please Krishna. But something good is coming out of it, let it come. It's not that always you get some positive result. Sometimes I chant very well and I go out and then maybe I meet with an accident, or maybe everything that I wanted to do at office, everything goes against me. I'm not disturbed by it, because this material world is a place where you will find equal reasons to be happy and equal reasons to be unhappy. A material world will always surprise you. It will always shock you. So maybe this success in sports that you're seeing is only for some time. So I'm sure there'll be a situation later when people will be surprised by unfavorable situations. What you need to understand is that favorable or unfavorable, good or bad, happiness or distress, Hare Krishna Mahamantra is a mantra for all time. I'm happy, I'll chant Hare Krishna mantra. I'm thanking Krishna. Krishna, because of you, I've had a good day today. If you're sad, then you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Krishna, because of Krishna is not a judgmental God. Krishna is like a friend. You can actually make friendship with God. How before coming to ISKCON or before reading the books of Srila Prabhupada, we look upon God as a judgmental God. अरे ये गलती करोगे तो पाप लगेगा, भगवान गुस्सा हो जाएंगे, तुमको नरक में डाल देंगे. ऐसा you think of God as a judgmental, as a some kind of a very strict person. But then Krishna is the most merciful person. Is the most lovable person, is the most compassionate person. Make friends with Krishna. Every day in the night when you're sleeping, you can think, you can talk to Krishna. Dr. Behra actually in his sleep sessions and all, he says that, you can think about all good things, that happen to you in the day. You can think about all unfavorable things that have happened to you. So, Hare Krishna Mahamantra is a mantra for all times, for good times, for bad times, for sad times, for happy times, for unfavorable times, for favorable times. Please understand that situations will not be favorable always. When an unfavorable situation comes also, you're not attached to good, or you're not attached to favorable situation. You're attached to Krishna. That's it. So when you are in sad times, you chant Krishna, Hare Krishna mantra, and you say, please give me the strength to overcome this sorrow in my life. I've had a bad day today. I've broken my leg. Or see, I went to Jagannath Puri for Radha Yatra in 2018, and I was trying to pull the rope. Dr. Behra would always tell us that don't go into that crowd and don't try to pull that rope. You can get hurt, you might even die also. So when I was in Kanpur, I would never go near the Radha. I came to Pune, I was away from, this thing. So I just, in that craze, I just went and pulled the Jagannath rope, and then somebody, he wore a very, heavy shoe. I think some kind of metallic shoe or something. And he pressed me on my, he stamped me on my feet. And then this small little toe of my right feet, it got fractured. It got swollen, and I was on bed rest for 3 weeks. Now people would ask, Hare, he went to attend Radha Yatra in Puri, and then how did he come back? He came back with his foot fractured. It appears very interesting. Hare, you went to a holy place, and you went to attend Jagannath Radha Yatra, and then you came back with a fractured foot. So this is inauspicious. No, I took it in a very because maybe I should have lost my foot maybe, but then I just Krishna kind of minimize that harm. Instead of the whole leg going away, maybe a little fracture. That's it. You take it very positively. So you are not bothered about the good that is happening in your life. You're not attached to it. Your consciousness is not influenced by the good or bad that is happening. All that you want to do is to chant Hare Krishna mantra. All that you want to do is to please Krishna. So I think, Jayesh, that's the answer. That don't be affected by it. Just understand that sooner or later something bad will also happen. You will not have good things always in your life. So when the bad happens also, remember Krishna. When the good happens also, remember Krishna. Be attached to Krishna, not to the situation. That's the answer.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much, Venkat sir.
Sorry, I overshot my time.
No. Actually, although you reminded me to stop before 8 o'clock, but intentionally I did not stop you, because really I wanted to hear from you.
Prabhu,
Actually, today we are having Vinayak Prabhu also, and also
Srikant
Prabhu is also there.
Oh, Vinayak, how are you?
Yeah.
Srikant Prabhu, how are you?
Yeah. So
Very
really,
nice.
bro, the way you spoke, the way you brought this importance of relationships, healthy
I
relationships.
thought I went a little philosophical because these are
Yeah, but
first year
actually,
students.
this was the perfect dose of Krishna consciousness, because just yesterday, our Chahatu Priti sir introduced about Srila Prabhupada, how Srila Prabhupada contributed and what was the compassion, and how he wrote different literature for all of us. And today we saw in your presentation, everything was from Srila Prabhupada. You quoted different. Yeah, so from this we can understand that Srila Prabhupada has given us everything, and this was the perfect dose of Krishna consciousness. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I thank you all devotees, especially the first timers, the first year students. If you have any doubt, what should you do? You should approach your seniors. So there is Jivnesh, there are others, your seniors who are helping you arrange the seminars. Any problem that you have, take them as a good senior, take them as a well-wisher. You have any problem with respect to studies. Actually, as a part of our Bhaktivedanta group, we would always help students in studies. I have taught, some subjects to some devotees who are weak in their studies. I would teach them maths. Some devotees that in their first year, they would approach me to learn chemistry because I am from chemical engineering background. So I would help them. Any kind of help that you want, please approach devotees, because devotees are the most trustworthy people. They're not ordinary people. They might not be perfect. I'm not perfect. Nobody is perfect. All of us are working towards the perfection. You see something bad in a devotee, just ignore it. All of us have our own imperfections. There were many times in which I would shout at some devotee, during the heated, sometimes would be in such intense pressure to do a service, and then there would be some problem. I would shout at some devotee. But all of you know that I would immediately go up and then apologize. I would say, in the heat of the pressure of the moment, I shouted at you. I'm sorry. So we are not perfect. So when you actually commit an offense to a devotee, beg for forgiveness. So don't have any shame. Be shameless. Go and beg for forgiveness. That's it. Therefore, even though I, shouted at so many devotees, I chastised them. I don't think I ever had a bad relationship with anybody, because I would take efforts to mend. Ideally, you should not chastise anyone. Ideally, you should not shout at anyone. We are not perfect. I'm not perfect. All of us are working towards that perfect state. Make a mistake, go and apologize. Because that fear of displeasing Krishna should be there. You are afraid of displeasing Krishna. So therefore, you go and when you want to chant next day, when you pick up the beads in your hand, you should be reminded. You should think, "Arey, yesterday I displeased this devotee. I shouted at him." So therefore, I should first go and apologize. So I always have this. So I request all of you, have any problem, please approach your seniors at Bhaktivedanta group. They're wonderful, wonderful people. They do very well in their studies. They're also very good devotees of Krishna. So please take complete advantage of these wonderful, wonderful people. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Venkat sir. So after a long time, we got this opportunity to hear
Thank
from
you
you.
for giving me the service.
Please keep blessing us with such a wonderful presentation. We really hanker for your association.
Thank you. I also enjoyed making this presentation. I took almost a whole day to make these slides, but that actually made me read some Srila Prabhupada's books. I picked up some points from some books, some pictures from the internet. So it was a nice engagement talking to all of you. Thank you very much. Please, I'm really sorry for going overboard. Please, I'm sorry for that. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Nice to see you, Vinayak Prabhu and Atish Prabhu and Shrikant Prabhu.
Also, Ganesh Prabhu is there.
Ganesh Prabhu is also there. Hare Krishna, Ganesh Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. All of you have made my Hare Krishna. Ganesh Prabhu is there. All of you have actually given me good memories of IIT Kanpur. Thank you very much to all of you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we can stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.